When dawn broke over Morgan County, the sky looked like a child's watercolor, lavender washes bleeding into streaks of tangerine. For most residents of Merrow, Kansas, sunrise on the first Friday in August meant one thing: the beginning of the Sunflower Jubilee. The festival was older than the railroad tracks that cut the town in half, and older, some joked, than the very sunflowers that carpeted the prairie outside the city limits. This year promised record crowds, thanks in no small part to a marketing blitz financed by Mayor Eileen Jarvis. Her face-square jaw, dimpled chin, lemon-cellar scarf adorned every lamppost banner. Yet the unspoken symbol of the Jubilee wasn't the mayor. It was Old Silo Jack, the Scarecrow she'd commissioned a decade earlier. Dressed in denim overalls faded to the color of robin's eggs, Jack stood on a sand-blasted oak post at the heart of Centennial Square. Each festival morning, children posed for photos beneath his raffia hands and postcard-perfect grin. Alex Kimball wheeled her rusty Mazda into a side street just after 6:00 a.m. to beat the rush. She was Merrow's de facto photojournalist, half freelancer, half local legend, known for capturing news with the intimacy of a family snapshot. She packed 3 cameras into her canvas bag, slung it over one shoulder and set off toward the square, eyes scouting the cotton candy clouds for dramatic backdrops. A cluster of volunteers in yellow vests waved her through the gate. Alex wondered why they looked so uneasy. Maybe opening day jitters? But as she rounded the corner past the sunflower-wreathed gazebo, she froze. Old Silo Jack was gone. In his place stood a grotesque imitation, a figure of straw stuffed into a stained suit jacket, head wrapped in burlap like a hostage. Button eyes had been replaced by polished black marbles that absorbed light without reflecting it. Its raffia fingers were curled around something, a single sheet of paper, edges singed. The flyer's message was scrawled in red ink that ran in jagged rivulets, as though the letters themselves bled. Alex lifted her camera, framing the shot with the prudence of habit, but a voice in her head whispered, "Don't just take. Look." She lowered the lens. Approaching the Scarecrow felt like stepping into a mausoleum. The hum of the festival generators, the distant thrum of a tractor engine, even the lark song overhead, all muted. She peeled the page from the straw man's hand. Bring $250,000, 0 cents in unmarked bills to the wheat silers by midnight. No polish, no camera, and Scarecrow equals return safe. Below the words was a smear of sunflower pollen pressed by a fingerprint that had smudged the ink. "Holy hell," she breathed. Behind her, a gasp. Mayor Jarvis, flanked by Sheriff Boyd McMurray and Deputy Ortiz, rushed forward. The mayor's yellow scarf fluttered like a warning flag. "Where's Jack?" Jarvis demanded, snagging the note from Alex's grasp. She read it once, twice, her knuckles whitening against the paper's charred edge. Who would do this? And why such a sum? Sheriff Boyd grimaced, one hand resting over the revolver at his hip. "Ma'am, ransom notes don't usually ask for scarecrows back." "We invested $30,000, 0 cents in that figure," Jarvis snapped. "Custom frame, reclaimed oak, limited run overalls. He's insured, of course. But this is sabotage. It's meant to humiliate us on opening day." Alex clicked 2 frames of the mayor's face shop morphing into anger. Jarvis caught her doing it. "Not a word to your paper until we've contained this, Miss Kimball." Alex shrugged. "Don't work for one paper, Mayor. I work for facts." Before Jarvis could retort, Alex pivoted, capturing the sheriff's deputies cordoning the square with caution tape, the volunteers exchanging whispers, the hushed ripples cascading through the early bird crowd. She posted a single image to her social feed. An empty oak pole against sunrise. Caption: "Old Silo Jack missing. Sunflower Jubilee Merrow." Within minutes, her phone pinged with comments. Prank? Protest? Publicity stunt? But she silenced the device. The real story wasn't on a screen. It lingered somewhere between a stolen scarecrow and a ransom note that made no sense. Alex's gut told her whoever orchestrated the swap banked on shock value over logic. It'd cover it, yes, but first she intended to solve it. By noon, the festival marched on in stubborn cheer. Kids rode the makeshift Ferris wheel, sunflower honey dripped from funnel cakes, and the marching band's brass section belted, "Carry on, Wayward Son." Yet Centennial Square remained roped off, a cavity in the heart of the party, like a pulled tooth the tongue keeps touching. Alex had spent the morning chasing quotes. Mayor Jarvis insisted the festival was secure. Sheriff Boyd claimed no credible threat, but each official sounded like they were trying to convince themselves. At 12:15, the mayor privately appealed to the county's sole bank for an emergency withdrawal, but the board refused. Too risky to hand over taxpayer money without council approval. While officials spun their wheels, Alex visited the one place in town where eccentric art met covert freedom, the foundry behind River Road, run by Liam Greeley. 10 years earlier, Greeley had designed the original Old Silo Jack, forging its oak skeleton and shaping its cheery features from recycled wheat bushels. He worked now at a steel lathe, sparks snowing around him. Jack gone, eh? He killed the machine. I always said art ain't supposed to live forever, but man, that spook copy, that's twisted. You recognize the craftsmanship? Alex asked. Nah, whoever made the replica didn't care about detail. Cheap burlap, slapdash straw. Except, he furrowed, those eyes. Black marbles aren't common craft store fare. They're obsidian glass. Expensive if you buy local. Alex jotted that. Any rival artists who dislike Jarvis? Someone who might want to embarrass her to tank this year's festival? Liam's eyes darted away. Jarvis slashed my budget 2 years back, but humiliation ain't my style. Alex believed him. Greeley wore his grudges openly, not through clandestine scarecrows. She thanked him and left with another tidbit. Limited market for obsidian glass in Merrow. The only shop that stocked it was Prairie Trinkets, on Walnut Street. The door chimed as she entered the hobby shop. Shelves overflowed with macrame kits and sunflower metted ribbon. Greta Mullins, the shopkeeper, with a grey bun and sharper tongue, eyed Alex. Need craft glue? No? Then you're blocking sunlight. Looking for glass marbles, obsidian specifically. Greta tapped a ledger. Sold out yesterday. Whole jar of the things. Young man paid cash. Description? Tallish, farm boy shoulders, hoodie with a cornea logo. Couldn't see his face, good pulled the hood up, even though he's 100 degrees. Name? Didn't ask, but he had a wheat tattoo on the wrist. Half wilted. Alex's pulse quickened. She'd photographed a local activist, a 20-year-old named Rowan Beasley, whose forearm bore a wilted wheat stalk inked in black. Rowan co-led Plains Protectors, a grassroots group opposing Jarvis's new irrigation policy. They accused the mayor of trading farmers' water rights for corporate investment. Alex left the store and sped toward the fairgrounds East Field, where Plains Protectors ran a modest protest booth. Rowan stood under the shade of a DIY banner. Water belongs to the roots, not the rich. Sweat darkened his collar. His eyes narrowed as Alex approached. Here to paint us as villains, Kimball. I'm here for answers, she said. Did you buy obsidian marbles at Prairie Trinkets? Rowan scoffed. I buy coffee, books. That's it. Alex lifted her phone, showing a close-up of the Scarecrow's eyes. Whoever swapped Jack used them. Rowan looked at the image, an unreadable storm passing behind his pupils. Those look like dead planets. Rowan, be straight with me. Did anyone in your crew plan a stunt? Our protests' homemade banners barely hold paint. You think we can stage a midnight heist? We're pacifists, Alex. Pacifists, sure, but desperation sometimes grew teeth. She weighed his tone. Beneath his indignation lay genuine fear. Fear of being framed, or fear of something bigger? Rowan leaned closer. The ransom note, 250 grand. That's not activism. That's organized. Organized by who? Ask Jarvis, Rowan said. Who else stands to profit when panic drives tourist numbers sky high? Free national headlines. That's publicity you can't buy. He turned away to console a mother balancing petitions and a toddler. Alex walked off, unsettled. Accusing the mayor of staging terror to boost attendance seemed outlandish. Still, Jarvis thrived on spectacle. The late afternoon sun sank low, casting the festival in burnished gold. Alex watched families posing with a sunflower topiary erected to compensate for Jack's absence. Kids still smiled, but parents' eyes kept flicking to the police tape. Fear, she realized, didn't dampen attendance. It fueled fascination. She needed time alone to collate clues. She retreated to her apartment above the lost luggage shop, a brick oven in summer, but private enough to spread out her notes. Suspects list. 1. Planes protectors, Rowan. Motive. Embarrassed Jarvis. Message about water rights. But ransom money? Unlikely. 2. Mayor Jarvis and Festival Committee. Motive. Publicity. But risk huge. Also attempted bank withdrawal. Looked sincere. 3. Random vandal, but the artistry of swap hints at planning. 4. Corporate interests. Maybe pushing mayor to sell farmland. Threatening fiasco to accelerate decisions. She read the ransom again. Return Scarecrow equals return safe. It implied the Scarecrow was the hostage. Odd phrasing. Almost comical. She examined her photos from sunrise, zooming into the replica's straw-stuffed torso. Something bulged beneath the jacket pocket, an oblong object she'd overlooked. She cranked the exposure. The outline resembled a USB drive. If whoever staged the copy hid digital data inside, why leave the Scarecrow on display? Unless they expected someone to examine it intimately like the mayor or the police so the drive could be retrieved quietly. But the sheriff had whisked the replica into evidence. Alex texted him. Need access for follow-up photos. He responded, denied. Chain of custody. She needed another angle. Deputy Ortiz, she remembered, followed her photography page and occasionally messaged compliments. She sent him a DM. Any chance I could snap the replica at the station? Might help, IG fabric, eyes, etc. Ortiz replied with 3 dots, typing, then nothing. Minutes later. Come by after 7. Quick though. The sheriff's building smelled of old coffee and floor polish. Ortiz met her in the hallway, glance darting. 10 minutes. Boyd's on a call. The Scarecrow leaned inside an empty evidence room, lit by a single fluorescent bar that flickered like a pulse. Up close, the burlap head bore faint stenciling, spray-painted letters so smudged they looked like bruises. She used her macro lens to capture them. PSR? She knelt beside the jacket pocket. Ortiz cleared his throat. Chain of custody? She raised her camera in protest, then realized what she truly wanted. Visual proof of the bulge. To justify a search warrant if needed. She shot, zoomed, and there it was. An antique tin with a hinged lid. She brushed straw aside until Ortiz relented and handed her latex gloves. They opened the tin. Inside, a miniature sunflower seed envelope. Tucked behind the packet was a single Polaroid. It showed an unlit matchbook resting atop an enormous pile of hay bales inside the Wheatco grain silos east of town. Scrawled on the bottom edge, midnight deadline means deadline. Ortiz, blanched. They're threatening arson if the ransom isn't paid, Alex murmured. Wheatco's silos held enough grain to feed half the state, and enough dust to ignite like TNT. Whoever planned this wasn't bluffing. Ortiz tucked the Polaroid into an evidence bag. I have to call Boyd. Do it, Alex said, but this note was meant to be found much earlier. Someone wanted the mayor desperate enough to pay quick. Ortiz frowned. Why hide it inside the replica? Because replication of fear matters, she answered. They bake escalation into steps. Note 1 surfaces publicly to rattle. Note 2 is a time bomb for authorities. Next step might be ignition. She photographed everything. Then she caught something else. A faint odor. Petrol? She sniffed the burlap head. It had been doused in kerosene, though dried now. A warning. Back in her car, Alex called Mayor Jarvis, leaving a voicemail. The ransom's not about Jack. It's about the silos. Call me. The sun slipped below the horizon, bathing the wheat fields in copper. Alex plotted her next move. Visit the silos before midnight. If the kidnappers planted explosives, she could at least document evidence. She drove along dirt roads, headlights bleaching the world into black and white. The silos loomed ahead, cylindrical giants against the star-pinned sky. She parked in a ditch and approached on foot. Cicadas buzzed. Coyotes howled faintly. One silo door gaped open. From inside, a faint glow trembled, the fluttering breath of candlelight. Alex crouched, heart hitching. She raised her camera, adjusting ISO. Voices. 2 distinct tones. One anxious, one commanding. She crept to a cracked window and peeked. Rowan Beasley stood near the hay mountain, a jerrycan at his feet, likely full of water given his pacifist bent, she hoped. Facing him was not Mayor Jarvis, nor a thug, but Sheriff Boyd McMurray himself, holding a lighter. "I did what you asked," Rowan stammered. "We swapped your stupid scarecrows, scared the town. Now release the video." Sheriff Boyd pocketed the lighter, smirking. "You and your college pals trespassed on the mayor's property, son. That's felony territory. Videos showing you inside Centennial Square will land you in prison, so you'll stick to the plan." Rowan's fists shook. "You said exposing Jarvis's irrigation deal would save the farms. It will once the council forces her resignation for negligence. The ransom money's a distraction." Boyd kicked the jerrycan. It sloshed, gasoline, not water. "We burn the grain, blame corporate sabotage, town rallies behind me as interim mayor. Then we cancel Jarvis's sweetheart contracts. Everybody wins." "Everyone except the farmers whose grain you torch," Rowan whispered. "Collateral damage." Boyd clicked the lighter open again. "Help me soak the bales." Alex's mind raced. She'd misjudged everything. The sheriff manipulated young activists to do his dirty work. The Scarecrow served as red herring while Boyd planned ecological and political carnage. She had minutes. She fumbled for her phone, but a floorboard creaked under her sneakers. Boyd's head snapped up. "Who's there?" Alex bolted around the perimeter, bursting through the open door, camera raised like a shield. "Drop the lighter, Sheriff." Rowan exhaled, relief and fear colliding. Boyd's eyes widened. "Kimball, put that camera down. You're trespassing." "Not half as much as a lawman plotting arson," she said. "I have audio." She tapped the small mic clipped to her strap, bluffing. She hadn't recorded, but he didn't know. Boyd thumbed the lighter wheel anyway. Flame bloomed. "Walk away, both of you. Grain burns, Jarvis resigns, insurance covers losses." Rowan lunged, knocking the lighter from Boyd's hand. It skittered across concrete. Gasoline splashed as the jerrycan tipped. Boyd tackled Rowan. They fell, fists swinging. Alex seized the lighter, extinguishing flame glints on stray hay. She dialed 911, narrating, "Wheat co-silos, arson in progress, sheriff involved." Boyd wrestled free, grabbing a pitchfork. He advanced on Alex. Instinct fled. She popped the camera flash full power into his eyes. He staggered, cursing, blinded. Rowan tackled him again, pinning him until sirens howled in the distance. Deputy Ortiz was first on scene, pistol drawn but trembling at the sight of his boss in cuffs. He listened to Rowan's shaky explanation, Alex's firm corroboration, and the jerrycan's incriminating reek. Soon state troopers rolled up. Boyd, hands zip-tied, glared at Alex with venom. "You ruined Merrow," he spat. She clicked one last photo. Sheriff Boyd, silhouette against flashing red-blue lights, an ironic scarecrow of his own downfall. "No," she answered. "You almost did." The news broke before dawn. Alex's images syndicated by the Associated Press. Headlines read, Kansas Sheriff arrested in festival arson plot, Scarecrow 0W mystery solved. The ransom note made sense now. Boyd expected the mayor to scramble for cash, look foolish, then pay or fail. Either outcome weakened her. Mayor Jarvis held a press conference in front of the restored old silo jack, retrieved unharmed from Boyd's garage. Our town has faced darkness, she said, but sunflowers always turn back toward the light. She thanked Alex publicly and announced a scholarship fund in Rowan Beasley's name for civic activists. Rowan, bruised but cleared of charges, stood beside her proof. Perhaps that intent can detour before it derails. After the speech, festival goers queued for pictures with Jack once more. Alex stepped back, camera in hand. The Scarecrow's grin regained its innocence, but Alex suspected she'd never look at it the same way. Just as straw can masquerade as menace, authority can disguise corruption. She wandered to the edge of the square where fresh sunflowers bobbed, dawn kissing their petals. She raised her lens and framed not the flowers, not the crowd, but the horizon. Wide, unguarded, waiting. In that vast Kansas sky, possibility stretched like wheat, golden, restless, and daring anyone to harvest truth from its shifting light.